Goedemiddag. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this meta talk, a talk about giving talks. My name is Mauro Salazar. I'm an assistant professor in mechanical engineering, specifically in the control systems technology section, where I lead the movement research group, where we study modeling and optimization for a plethora of systems. Now, this is not what I'm going to talk about today. The only reason I have this picture up is how this talk came together. I've been teaching to my students how to communicate research through writing, through presentations, and as the group grew, I figured maybe we need something which is a bit more distributed, like a talk. So I started pulling some slides together, and today you'll see what came out of it, which is a talk on how to give scientific talks. Before I start, I'd like to acknowledge where I took the material from, specifically a course I took when I was in Switzerland, in Zurich, Einfach vorstellen, wirksam präsentieren, by the Swiss Study Foundation. Professor David Norris, one of my mentors at ETH Zurich, he gives amazing talks on giving talks, and some of the material comes from his presentations. And then the book. Well, you're in the bachelor, but you can see here the title might be a bit intimidating. A PhD is not enough. What's very nice in this book is the chapter on 4, which is how to give talks. Feedback and discussions with a PhD student of mine, Olaf Borsbom. And finally, personal experience. Right. So, first and foremost, it's a beautiful day. The sun is finally shining. And you're inside at 12:30. So why should you be here? Why should you care about this topic? Why is it so important? Why should you listen to me in the next 45 minutes? Well, first, because many technical talks are terrible. Okay? And actually, it is due to lack of effort and knowledge, and talks are never perfect. But they can easily be better. And second, why are oral presentations so important? What do you think? Anyone? Why do you think oral presentations are so important? Which is in line with the fact, why are you here? Any ideas? So should I? What do you think? Yeah? Okay, it's learning how to communicate what you learn, okay, but you could write it. You could write a report. What do you need to present? Yeah. Yes, to very quickly reach a broad audience. Yeah. Yes. What else? Any other ideas? Yes? You can better connect. Very good. Yes. Any other inputs? Yes. It is more open for discussion. Yes. And basically, these points you made all make sense. I all agree with these. So they're more important publications than reports because this way you get into people's agendas. What I mean that if you give a good 15 minutes talk about your research, they will probably read the report and paper, which could cost them 1 hour or 2 hours. Right? They may be willing to talk with you afterwards. They may be willing to hire you. And we're human beings, so it's not all about what you show on the slides. What your colleague said, it's establishing a connection, right? So you're not only judged by what you achieved, oh, my race car is faster, I proved this theorem, whatever, right? My material is tougher, etc., etc. It's also about clarity, structure, style. Did they enjoy listening to you? Right? Was it boring? Was it fun? Moreover, if you get, the CV may get you an interview for a job, but the talk gets you the job, right? You have an interview. And it may require serious effort, but I'm convinced that everyone can improve, right? You just need some guidance and practice. And the purpose of this talk is similar to what we did with my PhD student. Feel free to scan that QR code or ask me, this material is online. If you want to know how to write, we wrote some writing guidelines with Olaf, which kind of guide students from bachelor to master to PhD to whatever, on how we expect them to write reports and papers. And the purpose of this talk is similar, and it's also some kind of meta talk because I'm at the same time demonstrating it live, right? Before we start, however, I have a disclaimer to make. I'm a professor, and professors have strong opinions. I have a very strong opinion on how to give talk, which is not the universal truth. So this is my take on how to give talks. So please listen also to other people and develop your own style, okay? Everyone agrees? Is this clear? Very good. I want you to understand how you can give a good talk. How can you improve, okay? So, let's start. Do you know this person? Marta Argerich is one of the greatest pianists alive. Now she's 80. She won the Chopin Prize and so on and so forth. Why am I showing this? Because I'm saying good talks are not an accident. And what is she doing here? She's practicing, right? There is natural talent, but you still need to invest time, effort, thought, energy, okay? And be aware, many people, the more professional they are, they deny this. Nah, I didn't prepare for the talk. Of course they did. Of course they rehearsed. So ignore talk bravado. Some basic rules to start. How can we prepare a good talk? First, know the purpose. This is so important. And with the purpose goes the audience. Who is the audience? Today is bachelor students in mechanical engineering, okay? The purpose is to tell you how to give talks, okay? Know your time. I have 45 minutes plus Q&A, and I plan the talk accordingly. And then, very important, focus on telling a story. So make it as simple as possible so that the story is clear. Is this clear? This is one of the keywords I wanted to take home today is story. Okay? And keep improving your talks. I gave this talk last week. I slightly changed a couple of details before giving it today. Before giving it last week, I also improved it a bit. I always think, how can I improve? And if you have feedback, why didn't you show this? Please shoot me an email, okay? Very open to discussion. Yes? Use a clear, confident voice and convey interest. Why? Well, if you don't care about what you're showing, why should the audience care? Be passionate about your showing. Be proud of what you're showing. Yes? If it's your bachelor end project, be happy and present you what they did the last 6 months. It's probably one of your first research projects, right? Stay humble at the same time. Don't show up, I solved climate change, okay? And acknowledge others' contributions. This talk is not, in Italian you would say, farina del mio sacco, flour of my own flour bag. It's a combination of inputs I got from other people who also reasoned about this. Think about questions and also seek out constructive criticism. Okay? And practice. Practice, practice. So keyword number 2, practice. There's no escape. What shouldn't you do? Try to be someone you're not. If you're not super expansive, you don't need to go on stage like a clown, okay? Be yourself. Professor David Norris, he's quite calm person. He gives a very calm voice. His talks are super interesting. You're really there, listening. Okay? Overestimate the knowledge of the audience. Often, but people, they already know this. I mean, a small, quick refresh is good and makes everyone feel a bit more comfortable. If they already know, they feel more comfortable because, I know this. Okay, I can relax. Don't exceed your time. Try to shorten the talk by speaking faster. It doesn't help. Okay. Or, as I said before, be afraid of repeating information. Who studied Latin? one person. So they would say, repetita juvent. Repetitions help. Yeah. Try to wing it, meaning, yeah, I already gave it before, so the talk is fine, I'm not going to rehearse it. Or making then slides or getting defensive. If someone asks, I didn't have time to do that. No, that's not important. Undermining the questioner's perspective, right? Always stay scientific and truthful when you have a conversation, and kind. That helps a lot. Yes? So, how do you plan a talk? First thing, as I said, who is the audience? If I'm presenting my research at Pint of Science, as I did last year in the Belgisch beer cafe in Stratum, to everyone, then I will get rid of the formulas. If I'm presenting at a scientific conference in that topic, I will focus on the technical content. Does it make sense? So know the audience. Okay? What's the length and what's the story? What is the story? What am I? Here it's pretty clear, right? If it's a research aspect, it's probably linked to the main research question. It's about that, and you're building a story about that. So what's the most important question? You want to brainstorm what are the key points, and how should you motivate them, right? So what do you need? What does the audience need? Because background info is, okay, how do I get the audience motivated to listen to me? And also, how do we get them up to speed so that what I'm going to show, it's understandable for them? And what's the most important piece of information? The climax. I call it the wow slide. When you arrive, say, this is my main result. With this, we make the emotion car 10 seconds faster per lap. Right? Make sense? Any questions so far? Very good. So, one way to do this is to do a rough sketch. For instance, you want to organize thoughts. These are my notes for this talk I started preparing last year. Some things I wanted to say, and then you can start organizing them. You can do some cartoons like David does, key data, and so on. One important piece of that advice, don't start in PowerPoint or whatever software you're using. First, know what you want to say. Know what you want to show. Because then you'll do it. Otherwise, you get stuck into the software. Same when you're writing. Start with pen and paper. What do I want to say, actually? Don't focus on form, at first content. Is this clear? Good. And again, what is the story? How can I convey it, right? So, one way, a simple recipe to do this, one outline, is you have a title and a question. Okay. Introduction and background. You want to basically start broad and then zoom in more and more into the main research question. Why is this relevant? If it's not relevant, again, why should I be here? How you address the question, the wow slide, this is the main result, further implications and conclusions. Yes? When you design slides, keep it simple. Okay? Often the content is complicated, so keep it simple. Black slides are cool depending on the day. Like if you have this kind of luminosity, you start struggling. Okay? So simple primary colors. You can be very easily colorblind friendly, as we do with our students now. So if you use this Okabe and Ito, you can see that different color blindness can still see it. If you use for instance, the MATLAB or Python general bibs, they may not be distinguishable. Something else you can do is using different line styles and so on. Yes? Once you have it, then you don't think about it. Simple font, and you need to have the text easily readable also from the back. Animations. Do we like animations, yes or no? No, animations are bad. Well, it's a simple tool. I mean, not to make fancy, but to improve clarity. I can spoon feed into the audience, focus your attention. If I would have started this slide like this, you would have started reading. Then I lose you. Then you're on the slide. You should be on the presenter. This is to guide you. Now, so I go one step by step, right? And keep it simple, okay? This kind of just appear is perfect. Yes? So, avoid. There was one, I was looking for it yesterday when I added this. In the previous PowerPoint version, there was one with flames. Which is super cool, but yeah, now we have this. Anyways, keep it simple. This is perfect. You see? Then main types of slide. What, for instance, the title slide. How could a title slide look like? Could look like this, right? This is Alpe di Magnello in the region where I'm from in Switzerland. It's beautiful. It's, I think, 1,800 meters. Those mountains are above the 2,000. It's very nice. You can use it as a background, the title, and then you put your name, right? But then the audience may ask, is it related to the topic? I mean, if my title is Intermodal Autonomous Mobility on Demand, fleets of self-driving cars that provide on-demand mobility jointly with public transit and active modes, and then maybe you see a cow behind one of those, but yeah, that's it, right? Instead, if I were to use this, figure says more than 1,000 words. Here you see it. Yeah, with autonomous cars, people walking, public transit, also some gray cars that are private cars, but I would explain it later, right? Or if I talk about another research topics we have, electric air mobility. Okay, you see an electric aircraft. You see a network for the Netherlands of airports. They're electrified. And okay, you can relate to it, right? It's nice. So keep it related to the topic, okay? Any questions so far? Then, usually you have an outline, right? You show up and you say, okay, in this talk, I will first go through the introduction, then I will show the model and the methods, then I will show the numerical results, and then I will show the conclusions. And the audience will go, wow, what a surprise. Didn't expect that. So my very strong opinion about it is don't. Because it's telling a story. Imagine you go to watch, I don't know, Batman, one of those, The Dark Knight, the one with Heath Ledger. And they say, okay, there is Batman. And then at the beginning of the movie, you have, okay, Batman will show up with the Batman's suit. And then at some point, Joker will show up robbing banks. And then they will have a fight. And then in the end, Batman will capture Joker. And they will live happily ever after. What kind of movie is that? Right? No suspense at all. And moreover, in scientific presentation, usually that's the structure anyways. So avoid and don't, even worse for me, repeating it through the talk. Oh, now we go to part 2. Yeah. Now we go to the results. Yeah. You can say it. Okay? This doesn't bring any new information. Instead, you want to have motivation. You want to have an introduction. You're going to start with zooming out, depending on the audience, right? If you want to talk about electric powertrain, you can talk about the fact that we need broader electrification of cars to reduce to improve their sustainability. The cost is high, so we need to optimize their design, and you're zooming in, okay, we're going to show an optimization framework to design electric vehicles, right? Keep it to the points you need, because if everyone is working on electrification, then you can zoom in a bit more already. If it's a very general topic, and my next speaker is going to talk about AI for drug discovery, then I want to have a broad perspective. Yes? So focus the motivation. Would you like to see an example? Well, it's in my next slide, so you have no choice. So let's see an example. I work on mobility mostly, and this is how I start the presentation if I'm giving an overview talk of our research in mobility. I start with the challenge. So mobility systems have been currently facing significant issues, in the past decades. People are not very happy with mobility choices, and this can be seen in transportation network companies exploding whenever they touch the market, like Uber and Lyft, and also stealing customers from public transit. There's increasing congestion problems. Even after the pandemic, we didn't learn anything. I'm not going to comment about environmental pollution, but be aware that mobility is one of the few sectors where emissions are still increasing. And there's also noise pollution, which is not only annoying, it's actually harmful. Now, given this abysmal picture, on the bright side, we've also been witnessing the advent of interesting technologies, such as autonomous driving, connectivity, powertrain electrification, the concept of sharing economies. If I take sharing economies and connectivity, you have Uber and Lyft. If I add powertrain electrification, you have the Go scooters, right? If I add autonomous driving, you have Waymo and these kind of companies providing autonomous mobility on demand, right? However, it's not really clear how we can combine all these opportunities to address today's and future mobility challenges. You see in Uber and Lyft and these transportation network companies, it was shown the empty vehicle miles driven increased congestion. These vehicles were looking for customers and driving around empty. So how can we combine these opportunities to address current and future mobility challenges and combine them with very well, and here you know them better than me, established technologies? Well, this calls for optimization methods to address design and operational problems of current and future mobility systems. And then I would zoom in. Okay, this entails A, electrifying individual powertrains. B, looking at mobility systems. C, looking at their interconnections. D, looking at humans in the loop. And if you're interested, you can also shoot me an email for projects and so on. Okay? But for the sake of today, for the meta talk sake of today, this is kind of a way to, this motivates, right? You see, okay, the problem is relevant and we do need these tools to address the questions. Yes? Very good. Then, you want to have a literature review. That's important, also for your bachelor-end project, or master thesis, or PhD later, whatever you show. It's always nice to have a literature review, because it shows you did your homework, you checked other papers, you're not reinventing the wheel, you show that there is a research gap, the topic is relevant, and we need to address this research gap, and the audience sees you more as an expert. Oh, this person read the paper, they know what they're talking about. And it motivates your work, which means the audience is with you. They want to know more. An example, do you know the Emotion team? I guess so, right? Yeah, so the racing team. My PhD student, Jan van Kampen, did the thesis with me, and then he got a plethora of prizes for it. The best master thesis at TUI, the best in the Netherlands in mechanical engineering, a conference paper, blah, whatever. He looked at strategies for electric endurance racing. So instead of lap time minimization, I give you 24 hours of Le Mans, drive more kilometers than the opponent, so you win the race, right? And he did a literature review, so this is taken from his presentation at the conference. The way you can do it, you split into research streams. And this is nice to do even before you write the report. Because this will structure your introduction a lot. Both the motivation I showed you before, with the mobility story, and then the literature review. Because you do, okay, motivation, blah, 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 this is important, this is the problem, this is what you're going to study here. Okay, let's look at literature. What has been done already? Yes? And here we have two main streams, time optimal control and race simulation. In time optimal, we have lap time minimization, but it's only single lap scenarios. So, bunch of contributions, what is missing? Multi-lap optimization, no optimality guarantees. Offline energy management, single laps. We want multi-laps, right? So you see, we have some contributions, but all of these have some gaps. On the other hand, you have lab-based optimization, but they don't look at powertrain operation and no electric endurance racing. So what do? We have gaps. We fill it, like with a bridge. And our contribution is this convex bi-level optimization framework. And you can read the papers or the thesis. But this is just the idea. Do you see the structure? This has been done, but this is missing. This has been done, but this is missing. Overall, we see that this is missing, and guess what am I going to work on? Precisely the gap. And also graphically, it makes sense. Then, as you progress in the presentation, I would avoid having as a title methodology. Say, okay, a question or a statement. Then you can have some text. You can have some items, figures. In this case, we have the motion current, and how do we model it? Using this so-called bicycle model in 3D, actually 2D. Equations. If you show an equation, talk about it. Because otherwise, the audience is lost. So in this case, I'm saying, oh, the lateral forces acting on the wheels, their sum is equal to basically what is generated by the fact that the car is turning with a radius of curvature rc at a speed v. So mv squared by rc. This is the force, which, it's actually twice kinetic energy by rc, which is, if the radius of curvature is given, then this is a linear equality constraint, which in optimization is very nice. If you want to know more, next year or in 2 years or whenever, you can come to our course, Engineering Optimization, and you'll see how to leverage these properties to figure out how to minimize lap time and win endurance races. Okay? Also very important are slide numbers. Why? Because sometimes you don't ask during the talk. In this talk, as I said, you can ask whenever you want. Don't be shy. In some other talks, you let the speaker finish, or at a master thesis defense, or at a bachelor and project presentation. What I then do, if I have questions, I write down on my notebook the slide number and the question. And then the first thing I would go, Mauro, can you go back to slide 26? How was that again? Is it a 2D or a 3D model? Oh, no, it's a 3D model. Yes, because you have X, Y, and Z. Yes, but we look at the longitudinal motion. That's what I meant. How was again with the lateral forces? Yeah. Okay. Does it make sense? Some examples. What do you think about this slide? Do you like it? Who doesn't like it? Very nice. Why? Yes. Too many formulas? Clutter, chaotic? It doesn't spoon feed? Yes. So what you said is all perfect. Too cluttered, too much information, too many formulas. It doesn't spoon feed. Where should I start? I'm lost. And then if on top of it I'm even talking, we're completely lost. Too much. What I could do, assuming I have a technical audience that more or less knows what I'm talking about, is spoon feeding. I start with this, and I'm going to describe, okay, our objective function is to minimize travel time for users. Users are XU. XP are private vehicles we cannot control. And XR are empty vehicles that are rebalancing. So I can control the users and the empty vehicles. And the travel time, well, is a result of what private cars do, rebalancing empty cars do, and user-carrying cars do. Okay? The sum of that gives me the travel time on the road, gives me the congestion, which I multiply with my users. That's basically the travel time they experience. And that I want me to minimize. Subject to the fact, for instance, that my cars have to remain constant. So if a car enters an intersection, we'll have to exit it, which is what that equation there is doing. However, we have some cross terms which are nonlinear and non-convex because of the empty cars, which you would see in a couple of years in optimization. So we do some piecewise affine approximations, some relaxations. Here I'm going fast and saying, okay, I do some relaxations so that in the end I get a linearly constrained QP, which looks like this. And here I'm using the formula, Moral's figures. But I'm being very, very explicit to the end. I can also say, you can check in the manuscript if you want more details. That's more or less how we do it. Long story short, we have a linearly constrained QP, which means we can solve it quickly with global optimality guarantees. If you want to know what it means, do you know what it means? It means that you can find the overall best, so the best possible solution. It's not always the case. If you want to know more, engineering optimization in Q3. Yes? Which is very nice because these problems are huge, so difficult to solve. This is clear, right? You kind of got the gist. But still, you don't have so much background in optimization and so on. So maybe it was a bit too much. Again, the question, who is the audience? Who are you talking to? Because you could also only show this. We have an intermodal system. In black is what we can control, the users, whether they take public transit, walk, or go by car. In gray, we have the private vehicles that do their own business, minimize their own travel time with Google Maps, and then park their car. And we want to optimize our operation, knowing that private vehicles will react to our choices. If we congest one road, they will use another road. Okay? And we can solve this problem and look at these very nice results. This is simpler, right? Less information. It was not an avalanche of formulas. I give you an idea. Okay, I have my fleet. I'm optimizing my decisions. I know that there are private vehicles that are also there, and we cannot control them. And there are interactions, so I have to get some kind of equilibrium. Less is more, but again, who's the audience? Because if you're at a technical conference presenting precisely this, you may want to have the slides. Another trick, put the slides, if you feel it's too much, in the appendix. After the last slide, you always have a list of slides I don't use during the presentation. But if someone says, okay, but can you give me some more details about the optimization problem you're solving there? Oh, yes, of course. Especially for your master thesis presentation, but also bachelor and end project, and later on. It's always nice to have backup slides that could address potential questions. Which brings me back to the point I made at the beginning. Think about potential questions. Yes? Another example. How do we make sure that mobility systems are used in an optimal way? Consider this case, and I'm keeping it super simple. The problem is we have a mobility system where we have cars and you have public transit. Usually cars are faster. If you don't do anything, more and more people start using cars. But then roads get congested and you have the same travel time. And this is an equilibrium. If you change your choice, it will not improve. That's the definition of equilibrium. But it would be better if less people would use the car arc so that when you need to go by car, you can go faster. Yes? How do we do it? Well, one way, you want to go fast, you pay. Money. Works. Works like a charm. But it's discriminating. So what we do in our research is using artificial currencies. So we study problems where if you want to go fast, you pay. When you go slow, you kind of sacrifice for others. You receive points. This way, the system overall is faster on average. And when you need to go fast, you pay and you can go fast. When you're not on a rush, you receive the points and you go slow, and you have some kind of turn-taking mechanism, which is not random, but it's actually based on your urgency. So you have a lot of control on it. And it's much better than the status quo where you don't do anything. And you see here, just with a few points, I explain the system. I could go then deeper into the math and so on, depending on the talk. Yes? Good. Something else, results. You arrive to the results slides. Figures must be beautiful. Often that's where you have the climax, okay? So the figures really need to be nice to look at. If figures are a festival of 10 pixels or so, the audience will start thinking, yeah, the results are, it's subconscious, but they don't look that nice. So they will associate the cosmetic properties of the plot about what it actually represents. Okay? So this is very important. Some examples. You can use clear and short text and nice figures, I was saying. This is one of our wow slides. This was with emotion. We show, okay, what is the speed, depending on the speed you have with the car, what is the acceleration you can attain? And it depends which kind of transmission you have. FGT is a fixed transmission. CVT is a continuously variable transmission. You can change the gear ratio however you want. With a continuously variable transmission, you can accelerate much faster at lower velocities, which is why, for those conditions, we saw that the car was faster. And it was a very nice way of representing it. Or if you want to show a model, we assume that the electric motor model is like this. It depends on the speed, on the force, and this is what we have to provide in terms of electric power, or force in this case. And look, the dots are very nicely on the surface we propose. Right? Yes? Or if we look, I don't know if you remember the pandemic, we studied with Maxima Center, and now we're also in a project with RIVM, who to vaccinate first, depending on your objective. And if you want to minimize fatalities, it's not so surprising, you want to vaccinate with 2 shots. It was the first vaccines we had in Moderna and Pfizer, and so on, the people that are most at risk. And this way you reduce fatalities. Then we show that if you want to minimize infections, you start vaccinating with 1 shot young people. In this figure, you can see, okay, the first one is, okay, who are we vaccinating with which shot? It's pretty understandable with time. This is what happens, this is, okay, how many deaths we have, and you can also see here the infections, the prevalence of the virus. This plot is the share of the population in which state. This is a bit too much. I'm showing this slide to say maybe this we could remove from a talk. It's nice for a paper where you want to analyze the results, but in a talk maybe it's too much because you don't know where to look at, and then I have to really guide you. Does it make sense? Very good. You can also show videos, like from my PhD thesis. We proposed a controller for the Formula 1 hybrid electric powertrain. You can guess the team. It was about doing the powertrain is hybrid, so power split, and when the driver is at full throttle, you can reduce the amount of power you provide. We showed that, in theory, you could use lookup tables and simulated how such a controller would work. Here you can see the speed of the car. Whenever the speed is green, the driver is at full throttle, we can reduce the total power. If that becomes blue in a corner, the driver requires less than 100%, we can only decide how much engine and how much electric motor, and it looks like this. See, full throttle, end of the straight, we reduce a bit the power. No longer full throttle, we can only decide the power split. And off to the next corner. What you can also observe here is how the driver is driving the car at its limits. The RPM of the engine are very high, bound to 12,000. You can look at the speed, which is insane. I mean, they tell them your braking point is basically when you think you're going to crash. That's when you start braking, not before. And do you hear this high-pitch whistle? Turbocharger spinning at about 100,000 RPM. Hungaroring, this is the last straight. Here, Vettel that was the fastest lap in qualifying, and then he won the race. And that's Verstappen, whom we like a bit less. Yes, he's a great driver with the wrong color. Okay. What is nice about a video? It's kind of relaxing, right? You can lean back, look at something else. It's a bit more dynamic than only me trying to, right? It's a nice change. It's always nice to show a video, but with purpose. Here I'm showing, okay, how it would look like such an implementation, to give an idea. Yes? Another video from a recent master project from the AI NES master. Vincent Kuipers, he's creating a digital twin of Schiphol and looking at, okay, what if we electrify all the ground vehicles? And you can see here some initial simulations, which are also nice to see, okay, this is how it kind of looks in practice, right? Gives another perspective, another kind of intuition. And as I said, videos, if meaningful, are a nice pace changer. It relates a bit to who of you does music or playing in a band and so on, or if you do theater, when you have a set list, you want to play with dynamics, right? You cannot be at full power for 3 hours because the audience will be tired. So video is a nice change of pace. Yes? Good. What about the final slide? What do we put on the final slide? Any idea? What goes on the final slide? The last slide you show, what goes there? Be brave. Yes. Questions or the main takeaway? Okay. Who else? Yeah. The conclusion. Maybe thank you instead. Possible next steps. Okay. What about this? Yeah. Are you feeling something in the air? You know, and then you hear that kind of cranky music playing in horror movies, right? Don't. That's my takeaway. Which doesn't mean you shouldn't thank the audience and ask for questions. But how can you also do it? This was my last slide. Thank you very much, and I'm very open to questions. Say it. Instead, keep the last slide the most significant takeaways, the conclusions with future works and so on. Okay? This for it. If I give my overall talk on mobility, I'm saying, okay, I have some acknowledgements here and there. Now, these are my students and my colleagues. These are the sponsors. And here I have the research line, single vehicle optimization, mobility systems, the interconnection, human-centric mobility, what you heard at the beginning, right? And I'm going to say the advent of cyber-physical technologies is giving rise to a new class of socio-technical problems, and as control engineers, we're very well positioned to tackle them, give a contribution to science, and ultimately to society. This was my last slide. Thank you. I'm very open to questions, right? And if you fell asleep, then, yeah, you talked something about mobility, right? Or if you're at a master thesis or at a BEP or at a conference, then the talk is more focused, then you want to have, okay, what did we do? The racing problem with emotion by Jorn. Okay, we did a model. Oh, I saw that. Yes, I saw that before. That plot is not new, right? We had some results. This is what we learned. There's a clear correlation between the steam time and how long we charge when we stop. Fully charging the battery is optimal whenever you stop. And in the future, we would like to look at temperature dynamics and so on and so forth. And by the way, as we studied temperature dynamics, we found out that fully charging the battery is not optimal, which is pretty interesting. Okay? But this would be okay. And you have two stimuli. One is the text, with the bold, what is the most important, and also figures. Which figures are most relevant, and that kind of turn on your brain, oh yeah, this is relevant. Okay? Good. The vaccine allocation problem, we identified this kind of model, we optimized this is what we learn, and here you can see the plot I showed you before. Yeah, I remember it. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, this kind of allocation. And this is future work. Okay? Why should we bother about slide design? Because they help you give a talk. Text and animations give you the storyline. You have to memorize less, right? Keeps me moving and you engaged, right? Questions at the end lead you into this thing here is super powerful. It leads you in the next slide. And if you struggle, change or improve. What if you struggle, remember? Does it happen? Yeah, right? What can you use? You can use the presenter notes. I have them here. If you struggle remembering, presenter notes can help. Use them to structure the fil rouge of the slide. Do not overdo and avoid parrot effect. Oops. Yeah? So you want to kind of use them to convey the main message in 3-4 What's the main message of the slide in 3-4 sentences? And as I said, don't overdo it. What you really want to do afterwards is, what do you want to do after you've written your presenter notes? What were the two key takeaways of the talk? One is the story, and the other one is practice. Yes. Practice, practice, practice. And the way you present, the way you're on stage is very important. Why? Why is it so important, the way you're on stage? Because a talk is like, what? It's like telling a story, yeah? And where would you see, in which setting do you also see that? Where do you go watching someone telling a story or I'll help you. For me, a talk is like a show. It's like being in a theater or at a festival, maybe not a festival, and I asked for the flames, but we cannot have them inside, okay? But it's like giving a show. I have to keep you entertained. Right? What do I mean? I need to interact with you, which is what I've been doing, also because the attention span has been dramatically sinking, including mine. You can ask questions to the audience to keep them active. Humor is good if it's spontaneous, don't force it. What did you think about the little kid doing this? The first time was kind of funny, yes? Yeah? Who thought that the second time it was lame? Very good, I appreciate the honor. It was. Don't prepare jokes, usually you crash. Okay? Keep it, humor, if you don't try to be funny, you're gonna be funny, one way or another. Yes? Keep track of time, and observe these basic rules. First, stand solid. Oh, by the way, yeah, I've been talking too much. Stand up, come on. Everyone, stand up, yes? Let's do some exercise. So, one way you could stand is like this, or this. Try to stand like this, like with your legs a bit crossed, a bit on. If you were to talk now, would you feel secure and centered and like, yeah, I'm confident? Do you feel confident like this? No. Your body's in a non-confidence pose. And you may go in such a pose when you have to present because you maybe are a bit under pressure. Instead, when you enter the stage, imagine you're a cowboy with the Morricone music, no? Stand like this, so legs solid like a mountain. Nothing can move you. Breathe in, breathe out, and then hands above the belt. Now you feel much more confident, right? If you're like this, you may feel a bit closed still. If you're like this, and it's all about body posture, and our body then influences the way we communicate. The second thing, make eye contact with the audience. It's very important. You're talking to them. That's why we have the presenter notes. Otherwise, you start talking like this, and then you give a talk to the screen, which is nice, but yeah, make eye contact with the, right? I want to talk to you. Use the hands to communicate, to point. Watch the audience. For instance, you might be tempted to do, this figure does this and blah, blah, blah. Actually, you could do, so, turn, point, turn, talk. It's good, it gives emphasis. Okay? And one last thing, you can prepare your voice. Let's do a silly exercise all together. Repeat after me. I can speak loudly and clearly. I can speak loudly and clearly. Louder. I can speak loudly and clearly. Now stick out your tongue and point it downwards like this and repeat. I can speak loudly and clearly. Up. I can speak loudly and clearly. To the left. I can speak loudly and clearly. To the right. I can speak loudly and clearly. And now, relax your face and repeat again. I can speak loudly and clearly. Did you feel the difference? So you can do that. Maybe don't do it on stage. Do it somewhere, but it's good. Or you can also do face muscle exercise because you're going to use your mouth a lot. Yes? Okay, you can sit so we can finish the talk. Yes? Then speak clearly, good pace. What is the most important tool you have at your disposal still? In your opinion, there's one tool that is very good in capturing attention. Yes, pauses. Pauses are so powerful. Other similarities with a concert? Who played in a band? So when you go to a concert, first, my show, my gear. Especially if you're at a conference hotel, they maybe have a laptop, they can tell you, yeah, you can use that one, and that computer has Windows 95 on it, and nothing works. No, your laptop. So to make sure that everything works, use a clicker. This is a very nice clicker. It's by Logitech, which is Swiss, so it's great. And place the laptop in front of you. Why? Because I can see what's going on, so very quickly, with a blink of an eye, I can switch from what I want to say to the main focus of my eyesight, which is the audience. Sound check. You know what a sound check is. You go there and you play before to make sure the volumes are okay. In this case, it's about being there before and checking everything that works. This was before another talk I gave for AINES. This classroom I usually teach, so I know that it works. Right? But I come here before. And then, before the talk, you meet the chair, so that, in this case, I have no chair in my own chair, to agree on timing signals, and do a line check. I make sure everything works before I get introduced, okay? And what if the attendance is not great? What if, like, it's half empty? Sometimes you'll have a smaller audience, right? What do? They're there for you. You give 200%. You prepared. They want to listen to you. You don't know who sits there. Maybe you score a job at Hogwarts, which would be amazing. But okay. Something good comes from every talk. So, my final takes. How do you prepare? First, practice. Practice, checking timing, improving slides, and so on and so on. Loud and standing. Trying to stand, okay? Don't overdo it. For instance, I gave this talk last week, so yesterday I didn't rehearse it. I just went through the slide a bit, because otherwise I get kind of bored of it. You see what I mean? If you give the same talk many times, you want to still have these kind of sparks. In your case, my rule is usually never practice the same day. The day before, and then that's it. So practice the weeks before and so on, never the same day. So you have new energy. So practice, yeah. Mentally, you're going to be nervous. You may sleep poorly the night before. It's okay. So don't go to Stratum every single evening. Yeah? You will be nervous. Preparation can counteract. And also accepting that you're nervous. Sometimes, for some talks, I'm nervous. I feel the adrenaline. It's nice. It's okay. You can focus on breathing, on the posture. Exercise. You can do improv theater. I was at the PhD defense of someone who is doing improv since a couple of years, and he gave an amazing talk. He was so chilled. And be kind to yourself. If you're nervous, it's okay. If you're nervous, and on top you have the editor voice telling you, what the fuck, why are you nervous? You're going to freeze. You can take we call it the editor or the judgmental voice or what, the internal judge, whatever. You tell them, okay, take a seat, I'm going to give a talk now, so I want to enjoy. Okay? Be kind to yourself and accept if you're nervous. The first time, it's normal. During the talk, enjoy. Remember to engage the audience using these tricks. You will forget some of these. It doesn't matter. Practice makes perfect. So give some talks and then it's getting better. If you have technical problems, which always happen in the worst possible cases, for me it was during my job talk, so to get the position as a professor here, my PowerPoint exploded. And what do you do? Yeah, fucking computer. No, you smile, it happens. All the committee knew it, they also had it, I mean. And usually, Murphy's Law is whenever it's most important, it explodes. Q&A, listen, let the questioner finish. You can repeat the question in case. If it goes too long, you can say, why don't we take it offline? If there's an aggressive questioner, we all had that. Always be calm and kind, and as long as you're calm and kind, and you can always say, let's address it offline, which is off stage, the audience is on your side. Yeah? Any question? After the talk, embrace the high, enjoy, you gave an amazing talk, and get feedback and network. This is why you give talks, to connect with other people, as we said at the beginning. So, to conclude, good talks are important. They require time, effort, and energy. Take it seriously. A talk is a show. You're telling a story. Care for your audience. And last but not least, enjoy. This was my last slide. Thank you very much.